Hey everyone! So today we are going to be making Baby Saja. I know this is like a fan favorite, so I thought we'd design this Baby Saja and make a tutorial of it. So I hope you guys enjoy. Please don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up if you haven't already. Leave a comment. I love reading your comments as well if this helped you out and you've enjoyed this. And make sure to tag me over at mnashthreads on Instagram, TikTok, wherever if you've made one yourself. I'd love to see your efforts, guys. Okay, so let's get straight into it. We're going to need the following colors in 4-ply milk cotton yarn. Now, if you don't have 4-ply milk cotton yarn, that is more than fine. If you're used to other types of yarn, this pattern is universal and should work out all the same. You might just have a bigger product at the end or a smaller one. Feel free to use the hook that you're normally used to as well. But if you're using 4-ply cotton yarn, I would recommend using a 1.9mm hook, which is what I have here. And you could use anywhere from between 1.75 all the way up to a 3mm hook as well with this yarn. Now, in the colors, you'll need some yellow, flesh pink, purple, this light green, and also this bright pink. So those are the colors that you need. Feel free to use alternative colors if you don't have the exact same colors as well. All right, you are also going to need a needle. Now this here is a leather needle. As you can see, you've got this kind of like the ridge and a triangle forming. This is a leather needle and it's perfect for this type of work. But if you don't have this, feel free to use a sewing needle. You can also have a tapestry needle, although it's a little bit difficult to get into those intricate details because you do want a needle with that sharp end. Then you'll also need a pair of cutters. You'll need some fiber filling to fill up the body. And then finally, you're going to need either 6 or 7mm black safety eyes. And those are the materials that you need for this product, guys, for this Baby Saja amigurumi plush. And now let's get straight into it. Okay, so to start off, you're going to need some purple yarn, as you can see here. And we're just going to start off by making a magic ring. Now, if you're very new to crochet, I would recommend having a look and checking out my beginner tutorial crochet playlist. I'll link it here over there for you guys. And feel free to watch all of those and master those techniques and then come back to this tutorial and you should have an easy time getting through all of this. So make a magic ring first up, and inside this magic ring we're going to make 6 single crochet stitches. Now there is something I need to tell you about these stitches. I want you to use the yarn under, yarn over technique. So what that is where the yarn comes underneath the hook first, and then the yarn goes over the hook second. So let's do it again. Yarn underneath the hook first, and then yarn over the hook second to complete that single crochet stitch. Now this is a great technique to use when you're making amigurumi plushies. I would not recommend using yarn over, yarn over. You could also use yarn under, although it's a little bit more difficult, especially if you're a beginner. But have a look over here for my short video and you'll have a look at the differences between all of those. And one last thing, when you're crocheting, in order to get those straight stitches, by the way, we're making 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring, but in order to get those straight stitches, what you want to do is when you pull the yarn through those 2 loops on the hook, you want to have it in a more vertical position. So look how my hook is vertical, and that is the technique you're going to use to make your stitches straight. So there we go. So those 3 little things that I told you, have a look at all of them, and then you guys will have a perfect little amigurumi plush at the end of this video. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochet stitches now inside this magic ring. We're going to pull this yarn tail at the end here. Pull it nice and tight. You're closing the magic ring, as you can see here. And we are going to finish each round with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now this is completely up to you. If you decide to crochet in a spiral, use a stitch marker so you can keep an eye on those stitches. And also you may need to just adjust the arms where those spike bubble stitches are. Especially if your stitch tension is not straight, you may just need to adjust those. So make the adjustments accordingly, but it should all work out the same. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to do the slip stitch and chain 1 just so you can see what we're doing very well. Okay, so for round number 2, we are going to be making increases in every single stitch space. Now I'm going to show you on the next one what an increase is. An increase just means to make 2 single crochet stitches inside the one or the same stitch space. So you can see how we have our first increase here, 2 single crochet stitches, and our second increase here, 2 single crochet stitches. So at the end of this round, round number 2, you will end up with a total of 12 stitches because you will have 2 single crochet stitches in each of those spaces, of which there were 6 in total. So once you've made those increases all the way around, finish off with your slip stitch and chain 1, or use that stitch marker if you're crocheting in a spiral, and then you will have completed the end of round 2. All right, round 3, let us go. So round 3 is super simple. We've got a single crochet stitch first, and then we have an increase, 1 and 2. And just remember, pull that hook in a vertical fashion if you want those straight stitches. So again, single crochet stitch first, and then 1, 2, an increase in the next space. So you're going to repeat that all the way around another 4 times, that same pattern, and you will end up with 18 stitches in round number 3. So finish that for me, finish with the slip stitch, chain 1, and then we will get on round 4 together. And we're now up to round number 4, so make that chain 1. And now here for round number 4, it's a little bit different, and I'm going to take you through this slowly so you can get all the techniques down. So you're going to first of all make 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochet stitches, but we're not going to complete this 5th single crochet stitch. On this 5th single crochet stitch, in order to complete it, we are going to change our yarn color to white. Now I forgot to mention that you will need just a little bit of white for this pattern. So grab yourself some white 4-ply cotton yarn or whatever yarn you have, and then weave that white yarn through those 2 loops on the hook on your 5th stitch. Now that you've done that, we're going to do something called a spike bubble stitch. So in a spike bubble stitch, what you're going to do is you're not coming here, which is the regular stitch space that you'd normally come into. Instead, you're coming further down below, just one below. 1 stitch space below into this section right here. And before you do that as well, you're going to wrap the yarn because you want to incorporate the bubble stitch. So this is the spike, and then here's the beginning of the bubble. So spike bubble stitch. Here we go. We're going to pull the yarn up, and we're going to pull the yarn through 2 loops only. By doing so, you should have 2 loops left on the hook. Now, this is kind of merged into 1, but it's actually 2. And then you're going to repeat, wrap the yarn, go in the same stitch space, pull up the yarn, pull it up, make sure you're pulling it up, and then pull through 2 loops on the hook. Now you have 3 loops left on the hook, and we're going to do this one more time. So go into that same space after you've wrapped the yarn, pull up the yarn, and pull through 2 loops on that hook. Now you have 4 loops left on the hook, and it's at this point that we change to purple. So pull that purple through all 4 loops on the hook, just like that. Okay, so once we've completed now that spike bubble stitch, we're going to make another 5 single crochet stitches in purple. So this is number 2, this is number 3. Keep that hook straight as you're pulling through. That's number 4, and here is number 5. And before that 5th stitch, we are going to change the yarn color to our white. So pull that through. You can push this bubble stitch out a little as well. And now we're going to make another spike bubble stitch. So we're not coming here. Remember, guys, we're coming further down below, and we need to wrap the yarn at the same time. So here we go. Wrap the yarn, pull up, pull through 2. And we're going a little faster this time. Wrap the yarn, pull up, and pull through 2. Wrap the yarn, pull up, and pull through 2. Now you've got 4 loops on the hook. This is where we're changing our yarn color back to purple, pulling that purple yarn through all 4 loops on the hook. And there you go, you've just completed your second spike bubble stitch, or the second foot. And now you will have a total of 6 single crochet stitches left for this round. 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and I am going a little faster, so don't forget, pause the video if you'd like, and then come back once you finish the end of this round. Once we're finished, we're making a slip stitch and chain 1. And there we go. So there are our feet, as you can see. Okay, in the 5th round, we're going to just be making 18 single crochet stitches in purple. Super easy. The only thing I would say is when you get to that 18th stitch, we're going to change the yarn color. So pause at the end or at the beginning of that 18th stitch in round number 5. So guys, I'll let you guys complete that and then we'll come back at the end of this round. All right, so we are now up to the 18th stitch. See how I've got 2 loops on my hook here? This is where we're going to change the yarn color to bright pink or just a type of pink if you have it. Now, let's have a look at this one. I kind of accidentally knotted it, but that's fine. We have unraveled it. And now we are going to change this yarn color by pulling the bright pink through those 2 loops on the hook. There we go. Pull that purple yarn just a little bit so you don't have loose stitches there. And then come into that very first stitch and make a slip stitch and chain 1. And as I made that slip stitch, by the way, I wove in these 2 yarn tails. They were on top of the hook as I pulled the yarn through. So that's what you guys will need to do as well. Just for that slip stitch or the first, I don't know, next single crochet stitch that you do. Okay, so from here, what you want to do, this is round number 6 now, we're just going to be making 18 single crochet stitches in bright pink color. Super simple. Round number 6, nice and easy, just working your bright pink colored yarn all the way around with your 18 single crochet stitches. So I will let you guys finish that and then we'll come together in round number 7. Round 6 is now complete, and if you'd like to as well, feel free to chop off the purple and white yarn color so it doesn't get in the way. And now for round number 7, you can just put in these yarn tails, by the way, inside the body. Just like that. Remove that. And for round number 7, after you've made the slip stitch and now chain 1, you're going to be working inside the back loops of this piece. So the back loops of round number 6 is what you're working in for round number 7. And you're just making 18 single crochet stitches all the way around. Super easy, except you're working in those back loops. That's the only difference here for round number 7. So again, complete this and then we'll come together for round number 8 and 9. Okay, round number 7 is now complete. And now for rounds numbers 8 and 9, we're just going to make 18 single crochet stitches. Again, nice and easy, no color changes at this point. It's just 18 regular single crochet stitches for 2 rounds, rounds 8 and 9. So once you completed rounds 8 and 9, we'll come back together and start on round number 10. Okay, so now we are up to round number 10, and there's nothing difficult about round number 10, except that we are incorporating some spike bubble stitches at the same time with some color changes as well. So that's all the difference there. So chain 1 and let us begin. So here we go. We've got 1 single crochet stitch in bright pink, 2, 3, and on the 4th, this is where we're going to change the yarn color. Now remember, if your arms don't line up with the legs, as you can see here, feel free to change the positioning of these spike bubble stitches in round number 10. That's all I will say there. Depends on like your tension, how you've pulled the yarn, whether it's done in a spiral. So things can change a little bit there, and just adjust it as normal. Super easy. Just make those adjustments, get them in line. And now we're going to change to flesh pink colored yarn. Here's our flesh pink. And let's grab those 2 yarn tails. We've got flesh pink and bright pink right there. And what we're going to do here is the same thing. So we're not coming here. We're coming down here for the spike. And then we're wrapping the yarn and making that spike bubble stitch as we did previously. So pull through 2 there, wrap the yarn, go in that same stitch space, pull up the yarn and pull through 2. One more time, wrap the yarn, pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook. And there you go, you've got 4 loops on the hook, and this is where we change our yarn color back to bright pink. Pull it all the way through, and there you go, there is your first arm. Now we're going to make another 7 single crochet stitches in bright pink, and I'm going to have these 2 yarn tails on top of the hook as I do that. So here's 1, and actually just weave it into 1, that should be more than fine. Number 2, keep that hook straight as you're pulling through. Number 3, look at my vertical hook. 4, 5, 6, and here's the 7th, guys. And on the 7th, we change back to flesh pink colored yarn, and make sure you're not pulling this too tight. You don't want there not to be enough slack here so that you can pull and stretch this out. So you give yourself enough space for that flesh pink yarn to pull through. And once you've done that, you've kind of, it can lean on this side and you can weave it into one of those stitches, as you can see here. Okay, so ready? Spike bubble stitch. We're not coming here, we've wrapped the yarn, not coming here, but we're coming down here. So here's the first one, and I have the flesh pink yarn tail on top of the hook just for this first one. Pull it up, pull through 2, repeat. Pull it up and pull through 2, and repeat one more. Pull the yarn up and then pull through 2. Let go of your flesh pink colored yarn, grab your bright pink colored yarn, give yourself some slack as well, and pull that through. Give this a little bit of a pull on the flesh pink colored yarn, and then for the first stitch space next, you're making a single crochet stitch right here, and then you're going to have the flesh pink on top of the hook as you do that. So pull it through and pull through it just for that first one. Nice and easy. At least I hope it's easy for you guys. Okay, and just finish those remaining stitches. There's a total of 5 with bright pink colored yarn. Okay, that's round 10, nice and complete. And you just want to make that slip stitch and chain 1 to finish that off. Now for round number 11, super simple, but a new technique that we are introducing is the invisible decrease. So let's do this together. We're going to make a single crochet stitch first, and then here we're going to make an invisible decrease. So what we do is we have the hook coming through the first stitch front loop. So I'm just through that front loop right there. And then I will maneuver the hook so I can get in the front loop of the next stitch as well. So I've got 2 front loops here. And then I pull the yarn through those 2 front loops and then pull the yarn through. And that there is what we call an invisible decrease, because we've made these 2 stitches now into just 1. Alright, let us repeat. So single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. So front loop, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through. Repeat, single crochet stitch first, then front loop, pull the yarn, and pull the yarn through. So that's 3 times we've repeated single invisible decrease, single invisible decrease, and then for the 3rd time as well. So I want you to repeat that another 3 times to finish off this round. You will have 12 stitches at the end of this round number 11. Okay, so we've just completed those final 3 single crochet stitches and invisible decreases, and we're up to this last invisible decrease right here on round number 11. And it's at this point that we want to change the yarn color to flesh pink. So glad we still have our flesh pink right here. If you don't, just incorporate it in and just weave that flesh pink through those 2 loops on the hook at the completion of that invisible decrease. And then here you can make your slip stitch. Just weave that bright pink yarn on top of the hook as you make that slip stitch and single crochet stitch, ready for our round number 12. Okay, so for round number 12, we're going to be working in those back loops again, as you can see. That's my back loop right there of round 10. And we're just going to do the following. Single crochet stitch, back loop again in the next stitch, and make an increase in that one. 1, come back in it, and make the second. 2, there you go. So let's do it again. Single crochet stitch first, 1, followed by an increase, 1, and 2. One more time. Single crochet stitch first, back loop only, and then an increase in the next back loops. As you can see, for this round, we are only working in those back loops. So I want you to finish that now. Repeat that pattern, single, increase, all in those back loops. Finish with a slip stitch and chain 1. At the end of this round, you can also cut off the bright pink yarn tail, or the yarn, if you will, and then you'll just be left with that flesh pink. And now we are up to this next round. So remember, we have done this here as round number 12. Let's just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we are up to round number 13 here. And for round number 13, this is what I would like you to do. You're going to have a single crochet stitch first, followed by another single crochet stitch, followed by an increase, 1 and same space, 2 single crochet stitches. So single, single, increase. One more time, single, single, and increase. And at the end of this round number 13, you will have 24 stitches in that round. So finish that off, guys, and then slip stitch chain 1. Okay, so we've just finished round 13 now. We've got 24 stitches in the round. Now for the next 4 rounds, this is 14, 15, 16, and 17, you are going to be making just regular single crochet stitches all the way around. So that would be 24 in total for 4 rounds, rounds 14 to 17. And then we will come back together on round number 18. So I'll let you guys complete those 4 rounds of just 24 single crochet stitches. And we are now up to round number 18. So for round number 18, we're going to make a single crochet stitch, another single crochet stitch, and an invisible decrease, just like so. Remember how we did that invisible decrease down here? You're doing the exact same thing. So 2 single crochet stitches first, 1 and 2, followed by invisible decrease, front loop, pull the yarn through, and pull the yarn through. So that's what I want you to repeat a total of 6 times, and then you will have 18 stitches at the completion of this round. All right. Are you ready for round number 19? Let us go. So we are going to do the following: single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. Now, if you're getting worried, by the way, that we haven't put in the fiber filling or the eyes, don't be. I mean, you can include them at this point. Scroll forward and you'll see exactly where to put those eyes. Otherwise, just wait for me and we will start incorporating those eyes at the end of this round and then putting in that fiber filling as well. So make that invisible decrease, single crochet stitch again, followed by invisible decrease. And you're just going to repeat that pattern all the way around for this round. We're just completing now round number 19 with that slip stitch, and instead of chaining 1, even though we are chaining 1, as you can see here, I'm just going to pull it a little bit more so that it doesn't unravel in case I pulled this section here. So now at this point, we need to add those beautiful Baby Saja eyes, which is basically just black safety eyes here. And for myself, I'm using 6mm black safety eyes, but if you only have 7, feel free to use up to 7. And if you're using different yarn, you can use whatever safety eyes you think look good. So we need the backs and the fronts of these safety eyes. There we go. And now what we want to do is incorporate these safety eyes in. And I'm going to have a look at this and then chuck it in where I think it suits, and then I will tell you down the bottom here where we have inserted these eyes. So first of all, I want 2 stitch spaces apart from these eyes, so that is way too close. You can see that does not look good, so I'll just put it 1 stitch space apart from there. And now, as you can see, let us have a look. Count the rounds with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Here's round 15, and here's round 16. So the eyes are incorporated between rounds 15 and 16. You want to center it so that it's in between those arms and the legs. And then you want at least 2 stitch spaces between the eyes that are relatively visible. So 2 there. I find that the smaller spaces between those eyes, it looks better in, compared to having like 3 or 4 stitch spaces apart, because then the eyes kind of looks a little bit strange. So this is like the perfect distance apart, and that's what I want you guys to do as far as you can do it. So you've got those eyes in, and now just incorporate the backs once you have completed the placement for those eyes. If you haven't put the backs on the eyes before, always have the narrow part towards this section here, the back of your yarn. So the narrow part comes on first. You're gonna squish it up and use your fingers to pull it all the way to the top. There we go, as you can see there. Push it back in, and now we are up to adding the fiber filling. But before we do that, let us begin these two sections here, because it's a lot easier doing this before the fiber filling is incorporated in the body. So let's just do the collar and then the opening section of the t-shirt, if you will, underneath this. So let us do that now together. Okay, so let's start off with this section first, where we're making this. So what you want to do is turn your little amigurumi plushie chibi doll upside down, and then find on these front loops, technically these are the front loops of round number 6, and you're going to find the 4 most centered front loops. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little bit off center, but that is okay. Those are the most centered 4 front loops that we can find. And from there, you're going to grab your bright green colored yarn and pull the yarn through and then chain 1. That's all I want you to do at this point. Now from here, I want you to make, in that same stitch space, you're going to make and incorporate that green yarn over the top of your hook as you're doing this. Make a single crochet stitch, just like that. Okay, so you made a single crochet stitch. Now you're going to chain 1, boom. And then you're going to work in the side of that single crochet stitch, the side of it. And you will work a slip stitch into the loop on your hook, and we call that a picot stitch, just like so. Chain 1, and then come into the very next stitch space in that front loop, have the yarn tail over the top of the hook, and work a slip stitch as you do so. Okay, so there we go. There's number 1 done. We've done that. Now let us make another slip stitch. Another slip stitch here. You don't need to incorporate that yarn tail at this point. Chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, that go into the side of that single crochet stitch to work that picot stitch, which is just a slip stitch into the loop. Chain 1, and in the next stitch space, in that front loop, you'll make one last slip stitch. Boom. Okay, so we are done that. Now pull the yarn through. Give yourselves about maybe 7-10 centimeter yarn tail right there. You can cut this one off because you don't really need this one anymore. Actually, I would suggest, if you haven't cut this off already, maybe do like 12 centimeters because we will use this yarn tail to also pull down this section later as we sew. Okay, so now we've done it to the front part. You're also wanting to do it to the back. So find those most centered stitches. So here's my middle. I'm coming all the way around. There. So that's probably the middle. So if I do something like 1, 2, 3, 4, considering this slip stitch is the middle, then that's what we'll do. So it's either here or here where I begin. I'm going to start here. Okay, let's do this together. It's the same thing. So pull that yarn through to attach it. Chain 1. In the same space, you're making the single crochet stitch. Chain 1. Work in the side loops of that single crochet stitch. Hope you can see that. Make a slip stitch, or all in all, you call that a picot stitch. Then we chain 1. In the next loop, incorporate this yarn tail over the hook, make a slip stitch. Boom, done. Then we're going to go over that slip stitch. Remember, that's the slip stitch that we've always done. If you don't have one, just continue on in the next loop. That front loop of round 6, make another slip stitch. Chain 1. In the same space, you'll make a single crochet stitch. Chain 1. Come into the side of that single crochet stitch and work yourself a slip stitch, or in other words, a picot stitch. Chain 1, and finally come into the next front loop of round number 6 and work yourself your final slip stitch. pull the yarn through and maybe leave about 12-15 centimeters again in the same way as the first one. And there we go. So we just made the front and the back just like that. And now let's do the collar before we weave these in. At the same time, now that we have finished these two parts over here, we are now going to make the collar. We may as well make the collar at the same time. It's almost the same technique. Find the centered most 4 front loops. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to insert my hook to the most right side of those 4 centered front loops. And then I'm going to attach green colored yarn. Again. So we've attached it, we chain 1, and we make a single crochet stitch. Have that yarn tail come over the top. First single crochet stitch is now complete. Come into the next loop and make another single crochet stitch. There we go. Then chain 1. Then come in here, the side, remember the side of that single crochet stitch, and make that picot stitch or just a regular slip stitch into the loop. Chain 1 and come into the same stitch space, and make a slip stitch. There we go. From here, what you want to do is then come into the next front loop and just make a single crochet stitch. Then come into the 4th and final front loop that we're going to be working in, make another single crochet stitch, chain 1, come into the side of this single crochet stitch, work yourselves your picot stitch, but just be careful as you do that. You need to turn the hook. This is probably the first time I've said it, but turn that hook to get it through that loop at the top. Chain 1, come back into this same 4th front loop and make your final slip stitch. And there we go. Cut yourselves about 12 to 15 centimeters again and pull that through. Eventually we're going to cut this yarn tail as well. Oh, actually we don't need to cut this yarn tail. We can just weave it in and tie these two together wherever it comes out. Okay, so we've now made our beautiful collar. As you can see here, we are looking good. We just haven't woven in these yarn tails, but we can do that at a later point. Okay, so now that you have made all of these little extra things, we are going to start filling up our doll with fiber filling. So let us do that now. And I want you to fill this up layer by layer, just small layer by layer. Just add in your fiber filling. Use a pair of cutters to really condense it in there all the way, and just keep doing that layer by layer until you reach the very top. And that's it. Okay, so we have just filled this all the way up. Just reposition those eyes if you need to. And now we're going to add that hook back in. This, remember how we pulled this out? That's slip stitch and chain 1. We pulled it out quite a fair ways. So we're going to enter our hook in that and complete our last round right here. So in the last round, we're just making 6 invisible decreases. Super easy. We've done these invisible decreases before. Just stick in your 3rd finger in the middle there to keep the tension and make those 6 single crochet stitches all the way around. Now, if you did work in a spiral, just work 5 5 invisible decreases, and then in the next stitch space, you'll work a slip stitch. So that's the only difference there between the spiral and the chain 1, slip stitch and chain 1. Okay. So we have done, I think this is the 5th, and we are on to the last invisible decrease. As you can see here, we're making that invisible decrease. And remember, slip stitch in the next stitch if you're in a spiral. And if you've done the slip stitch and chain 1, you'll just come into the 1st stitch space and just make your regular slip stitch, as you normally do at the completion of each round. Then we're going to pull that yarn tail. Leave yourselves about a good maybe 12 to 15 centimeters. Again, we're kind of using the same lengths as we did for the collar and the shirt. And now we are going to do the final thing here. Sorry for the little rooster crow. All right, so here we go. We have our leather needle. You can use a tapestry needle, a sewing needle at this point, no problem at all. You're going to weave in the yarn tail here through the eye of the needle as best you can. This is always probably one of my worst sections of embroidery, sewing, anything like that. It's just putting the yarn through the eye of the needle. And we have woven this through the needle. And now what we want to do, and guys, look at this closely. So you're going to have the needle through the front loops of those remaining stitches. So just those front loops, of which there are either 6 or 7 if you worked your plushie in a spiral. So here's the third one, front loop only. The fourth, front loop only. The fifth, front loop only. And finally, number 6, front loop only. Then grab your piece and pull in a clockwise direction. Try and get it as flat as you can. It doesn't need to be fully flat, but just try and work those as best you can. And then the needle's going to go right in the center here. And then you're going to come out anywhere where there's flesh pink. And then pull this, pull, 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 pull. You can even work that needle so that if you've got any bumps, you're just pushing it in until you've got a nice flat piece right there. Okay, it's nice and flat. I'm loving this right now. Hopefully yours is the same. If not, just work it again. And then you want to, can you see how these stitches have like a little bit of an X on it? And this diagonal goes over the top of this diagonal underneath. We are going to sew such that we're going over the top of that visible diagonal. And this way, we have a seamless look when we have woven in our yarn tail. So have a look at this. It's not even visible. It looks like we haven't done anything there. So I'm just going to keep doing that maybe 3 or 4 times maximum. Just going across that diagonal. Don't pull super hard. You don't want to pull this. You just want to get it to lining over the top nice and neatly like that. And here's the last time that I'll do it. Perfect. So we have finished all of that. Now we're going to cut our extra yarn tail that we don't need. And now we can start weaving these yarn tails inside and pulling down the collars as well as we do that. We can do that right now, actually. So let's do that. So I've just grabbed the yarn tail here, as you can see. This is the end of this section right here. And I'm going to see how we worked in this front loop right here. Underneath it, I'm just going to come back down here. And then I'm going to pull this down so it looks like it's in its triangle form. And wherever the lowest point is, this is where I'm going to have the needle come out. So let us start maybe over here. Here's the needle. You maybe want to go down a little bit further just so it looks a little bit it's a little bit easier to work that needle out of. Then we'll come into the very tip of that first triangle peak and work it back in that same loop. And we're going to do the exact same for the second one. So there's 1, come to that peak of the triangle and come into the same stitch space as you do that. And just work your yarn tail, come out anywhere that you'd like. And there we go. So there's the first one. You're going to repeat that for the second one. And you can even weave this in. I wouldn't recommend cutting this. I did cut it here, but that's okay. But for this one, I would weave it in, maybe come out over here. Then use this yarn tail to pull down these triangles, come out in the same space, and then tie a knot with these two. So I'll let you guys do that now. And if you wanted to see that again, so I've already woven in this yarn tail from the side here. And I'm going to use this other yarn tail, come into that same stitch space. I'm going to work the peak of that first triangle. So I'm coming out over here, grabbing the peak, coming back in that same stitch space. I will come over here, grab that other triangle peak and pull that in as well. And then I'm going to come out here where this is. As you can see here, those are my 2 yarn tails. And pull this one a little bit more. And then with these 2 yarn tails, I'm just going to tie them together in a double knot. 1 and 2. There we go. And just because this one didn't have a spare yarn tail, I'm going to work this back here, and then I'm going to come up here with that same yarn tail over here and just tie these 2 together, and that will secure them in place. Tie it in a double knot again, 1 and 2. Then you can chop off the excess yarn if there's no more sewing to do, which there shouldn't be, and just chop that off like that. remove that. And then with these two, you're just going to push it in. Push it in that stitch space to hide it inside the body. For this one, you can cut off, because remember we already tied that one, and then we can just push this in as well. So there we go. We have just completed these two sections, as you can see here. We've got our beautiful collared shirt section at the end of the shirt for both the front and back. And now we're just going to do the same for the collar, and then we can pin this down as well. I'm just going to pull this yarn tail just so that this becomes a little bit more less bulky. So I can pull that yarn tail, and then that yarn tail is just going to come in here. I'm going to put it out over here maybe. Doesn't really matter where, as long as there's enough length to be able to tie a knot later on. So I'm going to pull this out, pull this over here, and then with your collar, grab that longer yarn tail, weave it through the eye of the needle, prepare for a little bit of sewing. Sometimes I like to just turn this yarn as well, just so it's easier for me to fit through the eye of a needle. In most cases it does help me, so I recommend that to you as well if you have never done that. Okay, coming into the base of that space, then I'm going to put this down, see where it ends up, come through the tip of this collar, come into the same space. You're just doing the same thing pretty much over and over. And then I'll come over here because this is where it looks like it should be. Come to the tip of that triangle, come into that same space, and then we're going to pop out in this stitch space as well, making sure that we do not have, so you can see here, we've got a little bit of pink over the top of that, which we don't want, so I need to have my needle come behind it. Hopefully you can work out those stitch spaces though, so that you don't have anything like that happening to you. Okay, so tie this in a double knot to secure this in place. So there we go, 1 and 2. Beautiful. Chop this off, and with your sewing needle, push that inside. You might need to use your fingers and then a sewing needle to really push it inside there, just to hide it inside the body so that it is no longer visible. Okay, so there we go. We've got our beautiful collar. We've got our shirt portion. I probably could have adjusted this just a little bit more, but it is okay. It's fine. And then we've got the back of the shirt section as well. Okay, so we've got things working up quite nicely. And now we are up to either the hat or the hair. Let us complete the hair now first together.